Andrew might have a turn 1 Iona, which would be pretty excellent. You know, when a deck is monocolor, Iona gets much better than it normally is. It is normally excellent, and it gets superb. So we'll see what is up here.
All right, to try to explain a little bit better about Sandstone Needle, it comes into play tap with 2 depletion counters. You have to tap it and remove a depletion counter, and it adds 2 red to your mana pool. If it has no depletion counters, you sacrifice it.
Yeah, so you can tap it for 2 red twice.
But it comes into play tapped.
Yeah, and it comes into play tapped, and then it's gone. So it's just a fucking hilarious card.
Look at Andrews just starting off.
Wow, turn 1. Wow, he's going for it. Through the breach. The turn 1 through the breach. Oh, wow.
Close. No, he got it.
Yeah.
Turn
so
1 through the
City
breach,
Traders
Emrakul.
is tapped. But,
wow, he did it. He's drawing the 14 off Grizzlebrand. No life. Andrew, how does it feel to eat a Grizzlebrand on turn 1?
He has 4 Lotus Petals to try and find, and a Grizzlebrand to try and, or an Emrakul to try and win this game.
This is what the big red deck is meant to do.
Oh yeah, go big, go red, or go home. And he's trying to go big.
He just drew one of those Sandstone Needles. And
so I'm not sure if he missed on a Lotus Petal or not.
Okay,
that was already tapped. So he does not have an on pool.
It doesn't look like he got any free mana.
It does not look that way. But this is going to be incredibly hard for Andrew to beat. Regardless of if he has turn 1 Iona, I don't think he can beat Resolved Sneak Attack.
You're probably right. Does he have Pithing Needle in the main? Yes.
He does have Pithing Needle in the main, so he has to have it in hand.
If he has Pithing Needle in the main, he's solid. If he doesn't, it's over.
Yeah, if he has it in hand, this is actually going to be a very interesting game.
The amount of cards that Andrew has right now that are all dudes that are just going to, sucker punch Andrew in the face next turn.
Yeah.
You see him setting them all aside.
Yeah,
right?
I want these creatures and these creatures,
now,
some of these creatures.
Whether or not he kept the ritual, which he also is trying to play around the fact that he may get Pithing Needled.
Did he not attack?
No, he has to first. Or, he may have just gone to end step.
Wow.
I don't believe. This is super awkward gray area of. Okay. All right, Andrew's
so he was saying, all of these are junk. I drew so many cards, and none of them were Lotus Petal.
Sort of. I don't know. That's something you could at Pro Tour level REL. If this is
you could argue.
You could argue that he's saying he put these cards in the graveyard and let go of them. He did let go of them for a brief second. Okay, that is usually by chess rules passing the token.
Yeah. And the Pithing Needle comes out. This is a game of magic right here. Oh my goodness, this is now very interesting. So Andrew has to come out of this with a Through the Breach specifically. That's his win condition right now. I don't know if he has a Through the Breach plus an Emrakul in hand, but also Emrakul is the only thing that kills Andrew right now. So he is floating 2. We'll see what he does with it. Seething Song, all right.
Seething Song through Seething
another
Song?
Seething Song. So he's probably
casting Inferno Titan.
Inferno Titan or Wormcoil. So 3 damage to you, to your face.
Okay, so he's got to force the Inferno Titan.
He's got to force the Inferno Titan. Definitely force the Inferno Titan.
Andrew is not looking good if this
doesn't resolve. Yeah, it's going to be very tough.
So there's a Force of Will definitely coming out from Andrew. Oh, sorry, they're both Andrew. There's a Force of Will coming out from Sun.
Andrew S.
Andrew S.
Yeah.
God, you're terrible.
So yeah, Force of Will from Andrew Sun. And he continues to try and dig for targets.
Wow. I think Andrew Sledd is in big trouble here.
Yeah, I agree.
After drawing 14 cards, how do you lose?
Well,
I've asked this question before.
Yeah, and last time Big Red had an answer. It was triple Inferno Titan, but one of them has already been Force of Will, so that's not going to happen again.
It was savagely unlucky that Andrew Sledd didn't hit anything that produced free mana.
Yeah, 4 Simian Spirit Guides, 4 Lotus Petals to find, and
he
just totally whiffed.
he didn't play any. He played 1 Lotus Petal, I think, to get that going.
Yeah, I believe so.
So he had 7 other cards. Seven other cards out of the. Let's see. He drew 14. 7 in the opener, or no, he mulled to 6.
Yeah, so he was probably 7 from 47 or 48 cards. Maybe even 50.
No. 6 plus 14, so 20. So he had 20 cards left, or 40 cards left. So, yeah, he in the 40 cards left, he had 7 cards that could have won him the game. Very unlucky for Andrew.
Very unlucky. Almost 50%.
Iona naming red, and
Seems good. This actually should just be GG. I don't think that Andrew can do anything against this.
he can cast Wormcoil.
Okay, yes, that is his only outs.
But
I don't think it beats a 3-turn clock.
it does not. Andrew's son is at 2.
Yeah.
At 2.
Well, that's what Reanimate will get you, man. Just a bunch of damage to everybody involved.
Oh no. It's looking so grim.
Yeah, looking quite bad for Andrew Sledd. Swing with Iona. And that is game. He was saying, I was waiting for these two Wormcoil engines, but that is that. Now we are going into game 2 of the finals.
Wow, unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. How do you lose with a turn 1 Grizzlebrand
Drawing
14 cards?
I mean, we've seen everything today.
Oh.
This big red deck has both of the extremes. We've seen it win from impossible situations. We've seen it lose from seemingly impossible or seemingly
Locked up situations.
Yeah, locked up situations. Just a lot of really cool stuff going on, and that's what you guys get in Legacy. You know, a lot of these games are just really exciting, really competitive, just really crazy stuff going on.
The odds today against the person who's looking to win have been extraordinarily volatile.
Whether punting or otherwise. But so out of the boards here, as I said before, there's Mono Red gets an Ashen Rider, maybe 2 defense grids, and some Trinispheres. Now these 3 Trinispheres are going. If any of them resolve, that will be game. Reanimator has almost no game against Trinisphere being resolved. Once it's in, you just get wrecked. Especially with only 16 permanent mana sources out of Reanimator. That is boarding in a tropical island and a bayou in addition to the 14 lands it plays in the main deck. But Reanimator will be boarding in Abrupt Decays and possibly an Echoing Truth as well. Maybe even a Misdirection if he's worried about something like Red Blast. Which, I don't know. Oh, and even better, the Mono Red deck has 2 Fairy Macabres to bring in from the board. And Fairy Macabre is... you can discard it to remove 2 cards in a player's graveyard from the game. And you can see him... he is boarding those in, as well as the Magus of the Moons. As well as Shattering Sprees. So definitely worried about that Pithing Needle with those Shattering Sprees. Boarding out Blood Moons and a Seething Song. Interesting that he boards out Blood Moons, but in Magus of the Moon.
He just needed 2 more points of damage that last game. I think
true.
that's exactly what he's thinking. He's just like, shit, if I just had 2 more points of damage instead of stupid Blood Moon, I might have been able to win. I don't think that's the right kind of ideology thinking or mindset or anything. I don't think Magus of the Moon is very good.
I think that Trinisphere is actually a much better choice than Magus of the Moon.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think Trinisphere is absurd against this Reanimator deck, and if you get it out in any kind of timely manner.
And I mean, a lot of people will not... they'll just look at the cards and they won't count how many lands or mana sources that you have. But once Trinisphere is down, Lotus Petal becomes completely uncastable.
It does. It's not only uncastable, it also hurts so much when you have to use it to cast anything.
Yeah.
So Trinisphere, I personally I hate the card because I never play it. I'm on the opposite side of the table every time, and it is one of the most oppressive. Let me tell you how you're going to play Magic sort of cards. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that gets around it. If you reduce the cost of a spell less than 3, it doesn't matter. It still costs 3. When you're trying to calculate what something costs for Trinisphere, the way you do it is you add up all the stuff that makes it cost more, and you you minus all the stuff that costs less.
And then if it costs less than 3, it doesn't. It costs 3.
It costs 3. That's right. All right. So the players are studying each other's deck lists. I'm pretty sure Andrew Sledd I just seriously cannot believe he lost that round.
Yeah. No, he needs to try really hard not to tilt in this spot. Because there was really nothing that he could do about it. It was just pure variance.
That's like he had a great variance for opening hand into just nothing.
Nothing. Which is very interesting. A lot of this big red deck is probably like that.
Did he take out Chalice? Is he taking out Chalice?
He might be taking out 1.
I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right either.
I love jamming all the Chalices all the...
Chalice against Reanimator hits Hapless Researcher, Brainstorm, Careful Study, Reanimate, Entomb, Pithing Needle. It hits a billion cards in their deck.
Hits everything you want it to hit except for the big fatties, which is fine. I think Andrew Sledd might be a little too worried about the main plan of the Reanimator and should just... He definitely bring in the 2 Fairy Macabre. He's going to have that.
Yeah, definitely.
But as far as bringing in Magus of the Moon, do you really think that's that great against the...
No, I would much rather have the Trinisphere.
I mean, he's got 1 island. He got... What Magus is actually hitting is only 4 Underground Seas, and that is it. He only has 4 Underground Seas. 4 Underground Seas, an island, and a swamp are the only lands the Reanimator deck is actually playing that are actually going to tap for mana. Lotus Petals being the other mana-producing sources in his deck. It seems unlikely that any kind of Blood Moon effect is going to have an impact. However, I mean, this is Magic. We've seen it all happen today. It may be viable. They're really thinking about this sideboard plan. I think Andrew Sledd is still considering all his options and being like, what is going to be the way I don't draw a million cards and lose? I agree, though.
I'm still slightly suspect of bringing in both Shattering Sprees as well. Yes, it deals with the Pithing Needle, but again,
1 Shattering Spree is fine.
Yeah, 1 Shattering Spree, totally fine. Both a little aggressive, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't even hit Animate Dead, which is an argument for having any kind of enchantment and or artifact removal parting in. The fact that he only has a 1-mana red spell answer to something that only hits a Pithing Needle that Andrew's son only has 2 of is kind of...
And they have each other's deck lists, so this is all known information. You know, both players should be working off of optimal information here.
So yeah, the odds of getting. I also think Andrew Sledd is terrified of Pithing Needle a little more than he should be because he still has Through the Breach and he still has a few other ways of getting and cheating his fatties into play or just hard casting for that matter.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's a little bit too much focus on Pithing Needle here, but that is a Fairy Macabre.
To be fair, it did kill him last game, so it is.
Yeah, it is quite good against his deck. Definitely, I will not claim otherwise against a mono red sneak attack deck. Pithing Needle, quite a good card.
All right, Andrew's son mulling to 6, whereas Andrew Sledd is kept to 7, the exact opposite of last game. So, that's
maybe the tides have turned. The Mulligan gods smiled, and now they frown. And that can oftentimes turn the tide of the entire match.
Well, if Andrew's son gets his Grizzlebrand online, I expect him to whiff.
It would only be fair.
It would only be fair. Only be fair. So that way we have a Game 3 where, we can all be like President George W. and become the decider.
The decider. I'm the decider. This hand also pretty bad for Andrew's son, and he ships it back.
Ship it down to 5. Andrew's son playing with the fact that he knows he's got a free win on his back.
Yeah.
Looking to try to just get lucky on this game, but more importantly, close it out in Game 3.
Yeah. This game is quickly becoming out of his reach. He has to get a really good 5 here. Something probably with a Force of Will I would keep, or a very quick reanimation plan. I think is probably what you are aiming for.
I see Andrew Sledd becoming very, very likely to win in this match. I just saw his hand again, and it looks like he's going to have a very explosive turn 1. I mean, it's what the deck is trying to do all the time, but I do believe that he is going to be...
double days, all lands, garbage.
Oof. We see this is the third mold of 4 we've seen on camera today.
Yeah. Happens.
Again, talking about the mana problem, and even in this case, it wouldn't have helped if we've changed the rules of the game of Magic forever and decided to say you get a free land to start or something along those lines.
Yeah.
It would be kind of cool if you started off with 2 to 3 lands of any kind that you wanted in your hand.
That'd be cool.
If you wanted. But then again, that breaks a lot of the synergies that the game is trying to accomplish.
Yeah. I think they just made an inherently difficult to balance mechanic in mono bases and lands. All right. Well, he's on 4, and it looks good enough. Turn 1 play, huh? Sandstone Needle, Lotus Petal, go ahead.
Sandstone Needle coming into play with 2 counters.
You know, he's actually considering playing a Chalice for 0 here to forestall any of Andrew Sun's Lotus Petals. I think a Chalice on 1 is probably better, and
yeah.
he agrees. You know, Andrew Sun doesn't have the worst hand. I think that's a careful study and an Entomb, 2 careful studies, an Entomb and a fetch land.
Well, he's about to be completely locked out with this Chalice. For 1. He's going to fire off the Entomb, though, in response to try to hope to get an Exhume going.
Yeah, or an Animate Dead, but those are his only outs now. This Chalice, really strong right now.
Both his draw spells are completely dead in hand.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, does he have a Force? Or no, that was a Daze? Or what is it?
Yeah, it was a Daze.
Okay. Well, I mean, his blue discard spells aren't the worst because they pitched a Force, but aside from that, they're not doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
Chalice for 1 is super duper oppressive in any format it's played in. I think Chalice of the Void was definitely one of those cards that when they printed it were not thinking of how unsettling and grumpy it would be.
Yeah. Very, very, very ridiculous card in older Eternal formats.
I was playing. I was playing. Yeah.
Hapless Researcher doesn't make it.
No. That was Careful Study.
That was a Hapless. Oh no, Careful Study.
Careful Study gets countered. Well, Andrew, we don't blame you for trying.
Yep, not at all. He has enough mono to through the breach here, so we'll see what he wants to do.
But okay,
I might, if your only option might be Inferno Titan, which it looks like, I would actually wait for another mana and hardcast it.
He does have Through the Breach in his hand.
Yeah, but he uses up 2 of his mana sources to do it, in the Sandstone Needle and the Lotus Petal. So we'll see what he wants to do here. He is using that needle.
Taking 2, cracking Lotus Petal. He has he has a Grizzlebrand in his hand too. I think he's just worried about playing around a Daze that. Seething Song. Okay, so that adds 5.
So yeah, he was worried about Daze. So now there's 6 mana in pool. All red.
There's the Through the Breach. 1 red floating.
1 red floating. And there's the Grizzlebrand.
With 1 red floating. This is important.
Yep. Definitely important.
Andrew has... He played the Ancient Tomb for land for turn, right?
I believe so.
No, this is turn 3.
Yeah, so he has a land drop.
He still has
available.
a land drop to make. 1, 2... He
Another
could put
Chalice at the Void.
Chalice for 1 would be... I mean, it turns off his own Lotus Petals too, but does he care?
He might actually play that Chalice for 0. That's a good point. You know, it almost might be better to double up on 1s. Just say, it's never happening. Get out of here. But he is
There's
digging
that
super
Magus
deep.
again.
He's digging super deep to find something.
I'm not sure about that Magus.
Okay, so no red floating anymore.
Remembers to attack this time. Also, he did not choose to draw after with the Grizzlebrand when he attacked the first time around.
Yeah.
I guess just because it was... I don't know if that was right. He could have drawn again.
Done 7 cards deeper,
and then found another way to sneak a guy in. Not for any value of that turn, but just having enough cards to... Or enough free cards the subsequent turn to go crazy.
Yeah. So he is keeping the Fairy Macabre in hand, or at least one. He has to keep enough red sources, or mana sources, to play a Through the Breach the next turn. He also is keeping an Emrakul.
Notable, too, that Chalice, not only for 0, but Chalice for 2 would also completely lock Andrew Sun out.
Yes. Yes, Chalice for 2 would be game over, as without 1s and 2s, Reanimator can only cast Force of Will.
We are in Game 2, guys. Game 2, Andrew Sun leading the series 1-0 off of a off of a turn 1 Grizzlebrand from Andrew Sledd and just whiffing off of the 14
whiffing.
cards.
If
you're just joining us, this is the finals. Andrew Sledd versus Andrew Sun.
And he will play that Chalice for 0.
Chalice for 0. Okay. Andrew Sun just looking miserable.
Yeah.
waiting for Andrew Sledd to figure out what 7 cards he's keeping. Because, can't ball as hard as him.
Yep. So it looks like Mountain, Fairy Macabre.
Exile those 2. So he's discarding... Okay, so he leaves the Entomb for whatever reason. Just discarding Fairy Macabre. And it's going to shuffle back in, I believe, because of the Emrakul trigger that he's about to discard too. Again, Andrew showing Magus the Moon for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not convinced about this Magus.
Emrakul in hand, choosing not to discard.
Yeah, well, that's the only creature, the only single creature that can be lethal with Through the Breach the next turn. So he's gonna. That's his game plan. That's game plan 1.
Andrew trying to fire off a Brainstorm gets countered.
Yeah. Andrew Sledd pretty good on his triggers. Unfortunately, he drew a Lotus Petal, so that will get countered from his own Chalice.
We'll see, though. He'll have to point it out himself, and if he doesn't, that's a game rule. That's a warning.
Looks like he's casting a Magus right now, which I do not believe is correct. I think I would just wait until next turn.
Nope, he's on a Magus plan. A Magus plan.
So unfortunately, this does take him off 5 mana, but that's game anyway. This would have taken him off of 5 mana the next turn for Through the Breach. So I'm not convinced that Magus is the right play. But it worked out that time. It does say that you can't cast spells anymore. Not like he was casting many spells that didn't cost 1 or 0 anyway. And we'll have to see if I'd be interested to see if Andrew Sun is bringing out or in Dazes, based upon if he's on the play or the draw.
Against a deck like Andrew Sled's, being on the play, obviously, yes, they're in. On the draw, I mean, Andrew's kind of not playing around Daze.
Yeah, not at all.
I don't think the deck can. I don't think it squeezes that extra mana. I mean, it sucks.
Well, he did do a good job of playing around Daze the last game.
The last game, yes. I feel like this Stompy deck, a lot of the times, it just has just the right amount of lands.
Yeah, a lot of the times you're just going to Seething Song into Exacxes for the Through the Breach and hope it's good enough.
So when you're when you're in Andrew Sun's position and you're trying to fight through a turn 1 Emrakul or turn 1, you just jam as many things that stop that, regardless if they're not very good.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Dazes stay in regardless.
Yeah, it's probably true.
The Abrupt Decays seem good enough for the Chalice of the Voids because you just need to pop those off.
Definitely.
They will definitely screw you up too much. Chain of Vapors only for the Through the Breach, but that already comes in. The sneak attack, but that already hits the board and deals too much damage.
Well, Chain of Vapors already also for attacking monsters. Yeah.
Sure, not Emrakul,
just as a tempo play.
It's still you're still losing.
Oh yeah, super hard.
So I just think he's bringing in the Thoughtseize.
Oh, and Andrew Sun mulligans.
He's just mulling like crazy. Poor guy. I'm pretty sure Andrew Sun is literally on Thoughtseize, and Abrupt Decay. That's all he's got going on in the sideboard for this
Yeah.
deck. He wasn't expecting maybe no. I mean, Echoing Truth even sucks too.
Yeah, it looks like Andrew Sledd has both Fairy Macabre and Shattering Spree in his opening hand.
It's so strange.
Yeah,
I don't like Shattering Spree, but
he does have the hate, you know, and he has a Chalice. So
that Chalice is
this might be a very quick game 3. Chalice is quite good against Reanimator. A lot of their deck is ones, and even past that, because you choke them out of 1-mana things, they have so few mana sources that their 2-drops often clog up, and they can't cast multiple 2-drops in one turn.
all right.
So Chalice does double duty there.
Let's see, Michael.
That's no lands. That is no lands.
That would have been good last round or
Yeah.
last time around where you. But man, the fact that Andrew Sledd has Fairy Macabre on top of all the on top of Chalice for 1.
Yeah.
That, I mean, does he have the dual land to power it out?
He has the Sandstone Needle, but I did not see an Ancient Tomb effect. So it might be till turn 2 until we see that Chalice out.
Which is not ideal.
Yeah,
We
definitely
want
not.
turn 1 Chalices all day, air day.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just the land count, but Andrew Sun's deck is mulliganing pretty hard in this final. I mean, he's gone to 4 once, and now he's going to 5.
I
So we
mean,
will see what is up.
I've played 17 land decks where you kind of just you're at the mercy of,
Yeah, you
of
shrug a lot.
Wasteland and not he's
So
bottoming.
he keeps his 5. It's actually a very good 5, considering, because it has a Pithing Needle, it has a Reanimate and an Entomb, and an Exhume, excuse me. I didn't see the last card. But he's deciding what turn 1 play he wants to do. And if it is that Pithing Needle...
Versus Entomb?
no, he has a Reanimate and Exhume, and I didn't see the 5th card.
Ah. So he just should... does he have a Pithing Needle?
He does have a Pithing Needle now.
I think it's time to jam.
The interesting thing is, I will be curious to see if Andrew Sledd plays the Chalice for 1 before trying to Shattering Spree that Pithing Needle. And if he does play the Chalice for 1, he'll have to replicate it. Because Replicate gets around the Chalice trigger, but the original spell does not.
No, they share the same converted mana cost. It'll counter all the copies too.
No, because the Chalice doesn't trigger because it's not a spell cast.
Oh, okay. Right.
So yeah, Sandstone Needle pass. So this is exactly what
he did
Andrew
have it
Sun
in
was
2.
looking for.
Tomb and Reanimate, right?
Yeah. So literally the perfect 4 cards. Getting an Iona. Oh my goodness. A mull to 5. Are we seeing it?
Are we seeing it?
But I'm pretty sure
He needs a land,
Andrew
right?
Sledd has a Fairy Macabre in hand.
Oh, he does.
I think. We will find out for certain.
Oh, he has Reanimate
So
too.
he has. So his 5-card hand was Land, Pithing Needle, Entomb, Exhume, Reanimate.
Not
Amazing.
Not like you need much else to win.
What
off
a
that.
great 5-card hand to mull
And
down
he
to.
draws. Okay.
Reanimate this guy. Oh, it resolves. I missaw. There was no Fairy Macabre in Andrew Sledd's hand, and that is probably game.
Wow, Mold of 5. Andrew Sun puts an Iona out on turn 2.
Wow.
Through Andrew.
Wow,
Wow.
unbelievable. Mono red just getting color hosed here. I do not think that he has outs to this.
Interesting. Andrew Sun could have named Fairy Macabre with Pithing Needle.
Pithing Needle, yeah. That is another common play that happens a lot with Reanimator, because that is one of the cards that you're super worried about. Is
yeah.
Pithing Needle.
Terribly worried.
Or is Fairy Macabre, rather. Just because it's so hard to deal with. There's so few answers that are not Pithing Needle for it. And this Chalice for 1 coming down, but I think it's going to be too late. You know, Andrew Sledd, I don't think he has to cast Wormcoil Engines to get out of this.
No, he
I think
needed to
he
cast
is
it
just
that turn.
dead.
Yep. Unfortunately, Iona's barring him from casting any spells whatsoever, except colorless ones. And Andrew's got a grip of red cards, and that looks like it's going to be the end. Andrew drawing a little preemptively, and good game.
And that is that. Reanimator taking it home. My goodness, on a Mold-A-5 too. Maybe I should eat my words. Maybe you don't need that many lands. You know,
it's possible. We've seen it all today, guys. The Mold-A-5 with a Pithing Needle in hand as backup to name. He could have named Fairy Macabre. That would have been a good one. I don't know how if that was his plan. He didn't have an extra mana to cast it, but if he has the second mana in hand...
if you have the Lotus Petal there, I think you absolutely play that play, especially given that he went turn 1 Sandstone Needle pass. After that, you just say, oh my gosh, I've just won the game. You know, this Iona's going to resolve, and there's nothing he can do about it. So definitely would have done that if he had the extra mana.
Very good, guys. Very good. All right. Well, we have we had a great showing from Big Red.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting plays. A lot of really bad luck. But that wraps up the 1K with Reanimator taking it down.
Yeah. So in the future, we have May 1st, another 1K at CSUN. Along with, there's a Smash 4 tournament, there's a Street Fighter 4 tournament, so please come on down to that one, and if you want to pre-register for that, it's at frameperfectgaming.com. And we...
That's it. We're done, guys. Thanks for tuning
Thanks
in.
for
We really
tuning in.
appreciate it.
I'm